The Sea Ranch was conceived through a creative collaboration. Developer-architect with Oceanic Properties Al Boki combined business and design skills in laying the foundation. Landscape architect Lawrence Halprin documented the site and planned the first phase of the development. Architect Joseph Esherick designed prototypes for individual dwellings that became known as the hedgerow houses, as well as a store and restaurant. And Charles Moore, with his partners at MLTW, designed a condominium complex of 10 units as a pilot for a series of condominiums along the shore. The vision was realized as people discovered the Sea Ranch, fell in love with the place and the purpose, and bought property there. Often this happened by chance as they stopped off at the store or restaurant en route along Highway 1.
And he said, I just got a listing yesterday, and it's 5,000 acres along the coast, about 100 miles north of San Francisco. Wouldn't you like to see it? He said, it's the most magnificent place I've ever seen. And I said, well, it sounds wonderful, but we're interested in a first home new town, and that wouldn't be such a location. And he said, well, the gas is free as far as you're concerned. Do you have the time, and we'll fly over it? So we did, and it was magnificent. Barren because the sheep that were on it had mowed the grass right down to the bare ground. But it was really exciting. I went back to Honolulu and recommended that we consider developing that land for a second home community as a secondary or slow or medium speed cash flow project for Oceanic, which I felt made sense in the overall portfolio.
There have been any patterns to refer back to, they were like some of the farmsteads that occur in California, where clusters of houses occur, and clusters of barns, and clusters of this, that, and the other thing, and the rest is left for fields. We developed the idea that the houses will go at right angles to the coast, not parallel to the coast. If they go right angles to the coast, that means that each person can look this way and see the coast, and no house gets in the way of the house behind it. What we said was we will allow each person to own an acre, but they will cluster their houses on pieces of land that are butted up against each other. And this left vast areas of commons that are open for the use of everybody in the community.
We took those wind contour maps and found the windiest place on the whole property and located the thing there on the theory that if you could solve the problem in the most difficult place, then it would be easy from then on. I like to draw. When you draw, if the wind is blowing the page, you remember that. A lot of other things come into your head and you remember them. You remember the wind, you remember the brightness of the light, and so on. And I think that helps when you come to design.
It's a sort of minimum structure. The thing held up by as few columns as we can get, and they're big. 10 by 10 for columns that go up all the way from the ground to the roof. All around this skeleton of columns and beams is a 2-inch fir wall, and on that heavy building paper, and on the outside of that, 1 inch of redwood. So it's a wonderfully secure, solid feeling. It's still, I think, my favorite thing I've ever worked on. And what gives me a lot of pleasure about it, still after well over 20 years, is that every decision here is something that I was aware of, that we all discussed. And as any architect gets older and folder of big work. It just gets harder and harder to be that close to everything.
As the consultants were let go and Boki left, Oceanic Properties shifted orientation to a more conventional, business-directed operation. Perhaps the original plan could still have been realized within this frame, but the combination of a market in which ocean view lots were so highly valued and financial pressure to sell by the most expedient means struck at the very heart of the development. Dwellings were no longer clustered but spread evenly through the meadows, filling in what was to have been open space. Roads were no longer aligned along hedgerows or draws to reinforce the structure of the landscape, but were freely extended into a comprehensive network, imposing a new structure on the land. As lots fill in around it with newly built homes, the road network becomes dominant, undermining the natural structure and complicating the image of the landscape.